Hello, subscribers. I am meteorologist Mike Griffith here for Eastern Weather Consulting and also for East Coast Weather Association. We have a couple things to talk about. This weekend is upcoming ice storm, mainly out in the upper plains and possibly spreading eastward as far east as the Pennsylvania-Maryland border. National Weather Service thinks so, and I also think so as well. Very dangerous and treacherous situation coming up here, especially Saturday and the Sunday as we head into Philadelphia and also across much of the upper Midwest and all the way across the Ohio Valley, looking at a lot of ice and dangerous travel. You're probably going to see a lot about this on the news and also all the weather stations. So just pay attention if you live in these areas because it's going to get really dicey really fast. So we have the ice here, and we're looking at the long range into the end of this month when we can expect a pattern flip, and it'll get much colder. And don't let all the warm right now fool you, and we're going to take a look at when it will get cold again. Here's our Facebook pages for me and John, and also go to this website and sign up or get people that you know to come here and sign up so that we can grow, and we appreciate you being a member and also your patronage. Right here is the NOAA WPC, or Weather Prediction Center in Washington, D.C. Actually, they're in Camp Springs, Maryland, or they might have moved. They're in College Park now, right around here. So this is the probability of freezing rain accumulating greater than or equal to 1/100th of an inch, and that's all it takes to cause a lot of problems and for trees to come down on power lines and cause a lot of power outages. The highest probability of the freezing release accumulating this much is on the PA and Maryland border here, pretty much up in the mountains here. In the mountainous areas, you have the cold air damming, which makes it a lot more likely to have a ice storm in this area. Now, the probability drops off significantly as you head into northern Virginia and also down into the Appalachians. But I think that this freezing rain situation is going to press a little bit further east, so keep an eye on this, especially if you're in the Philly suburbs, Lancaster, Reading, Allentown, even in the parts of New Jersey and northern Delaware here. I don't think that this quite does justice, and if there's anything falling in the form of rain or liquid precipitation on the frozen ground, because it's supposed to be 29 degrees here come during the day on Saturday, even if it's just a very light drizzle and doesn't sound like it's doing anything outside, just make sure that you realize if the sidewalk or driveway is icy before you head out, because it's probably not a great idea that you actually do head out. So watch for the ice this weekend. Definitely more likely in this area right here along the PA-Maryland border, but I think it actually extends maybe a little bit more east and certainly extends more west than just what this graphic indicates right here. Pushing ahead to January 28th is the next time that we think that we're going to see a cold shot here in the eastern part of the United States. This is the GEFS ensembles, and showing much below normal pressure patterns up here in the upper atmosphere, which coincides with colder temperatures at the surface. And we're going to see a lot of this all the way from Michigan down to Texas later this month, and that's what we're watching for the pattern flip. Anytime after the 24th through the 28th of January, I think, like the last week of this month, has the chance to really turn back to bitter cold again, with even a chance of some snow here in the south. Although right now it's looking like it's going to be all rain if we get a system like that. But our next possibility is around later this month. Now, looking from after this weekend into later this month, here's all the warm. So yes, it's going to be very warm between now and the 27th or maybe even 24th. Cold air starts to build out west. Great news for the skiers out here. If you saw the picture from earlier, 9 feet of snow in Lake Tahoe here in California in the mountains. Just insane with the atmospheric river with a bunch of storms just keep crashing into the west coast and bringing flooding and mudslides and incredible amounts of snow here to the west. So if you're a skier, it's actually skier's delight. Be careful and don't go into the backcountry where there's known avalanches. Hopefully this message will save a life because with all this new snow and the windstorms that follow overnight, the snow gets this crust on top of it, and it just becomes a prime area for avalanches. And this whole area out here shaded in blue. So please just be careful. Much warmer and above average temperatures persist in the east through the end of this month, but then we start to see a little bit of a flip here as all this cold air out west starts to push east from January 28th, maybe into February 1st. And as that ridge develops in Canada, it's going to block all the cold air from going up there, and it's going to actually be down here in the United States. So this is the next shot we have at cold and snow, and maybe even some ice here as we head into the January 24th to 28th. Anytime after the 28th, looks like it's favorable again to have any type of winter type of situation here, even into the Carolinas, maybe in Virginia. So it's looking favorable this winter compared to last. Looking at the MJO index forecast, this is the European version of the forecast here, and it looks like we start to go into phase 1 and 2 of the MJO through January 27th, and that means that there's going to be a trough or colder than usual temperatures and stormier than usual across the East Coast here. Again, this is through the 27th later this month. So we're thinking anytime between the 24th and the 28th is when our next cold outbreak is going to be here, with a chance of a coastal low or a southern slider, and nothing really showing up before then except for later this month. Now, here's another interesting point that I want to show you in the long term. This is the stratosphere that is actually valid January 29th. And look at the stratospheric warming over the North Pole and Alaska, around the Arctic Circle. And what it tries to do, it tries to force all the cold air over Greenland and the North Atlantic and maybe even Europe, such as what it did in 2016. However, it could easily be very cold here over the United States from the stratospheric warming over the North Pole. The explanation of this is that when the stratosphere warms over the polar vortex, it actually kind of pushes it to the south, or it displaces it. It pushes it to a different location, and that different location could be over the eastern United States. And you know what that means, cold and snow. And this is what we're looking at here, anytime between the 24th and the 29th of this month. Looking favorable. We want to thank you again for being a valued subscriber here, and keep it tuned right here. We will post and send out some more videos and graphics as the conditions become favorable for more updates. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm meteorologist Mike Griffith. Have a great weekend, everybody.